Welcome back for another episode. My name is Robert Bowden. I'm the owner of Bowden Wealth Management, and today we're going to be talking about one of the foundational pillars that we say in our firm is most important, and that is budgeting. Budgeting is a word that many people do not like, do not care for. It drives a lot of emotions, it drives a lot of feelings. Many people just see it as icky and want to stay far, far away from it. However, there are some misconceptions that can be taken from budgeting that we just want to clarify in this video, just because it is very important. If it's going to be a part of the foundation, that means that it's going to be something that sustains you, that keeps you afloat, that keeps you going when things get difficult and when decisions have to be made that aren't necessarily easy. So we'll dig into that today, and the whole basis of it is just giving my top ideas of why I believe people have challenges or misconceptions of budgeting altogether. It's just from my experience, from what I've seen with clients, as well as in my personal life. These 5 things seem to be the common denominator amongst all of the people. And I think if we can address these things as well as remedy them, we can do a much better job first understanding and implementing a budget. So in a previous episode, I had said one of the main things that people say to me is that I'm making more money than ever. I know I'm earning a lot more money. However, I don't know where my money is going. I don't know what I am doing with my money. And usually that's a foundational issue. So here are my top 5 challenges that come from managing a budget effectively. Number 1 is going to be just simply short-sightedness. Young adults and families might prioritize what they need right now versus looking more long-term and what they'll need in the future. And because of this, budgeting can just seem like a very distant thing or not as relevant today because of all of the things that's happening around you right now. However, our job as faithful stewards is to cast a vision, to make that vision plain. So the vision means that we don't just look at what we need right now. The vision means that we look ahead in the future and determine what we can do right now, because we don't want to just deny ourselves totally and not take care of our basic needs. But that does mean that we look ahead, that we see that by putting something aside today that will be beneficial for the future. So you're always thinking of your future self, to not be short-sighted, but more future-driven, so that you can walk into that thing that God wants you to walk into. Number 2 is just a lack of financial education. Not everybody has a degree in finance. So what do you do for those people? Because that person is still called to be faithful over what's given to them. Without proper knowledge of how to manage a budget, this can seem like a distant thought. However, it doesn't take a lot to actually think through, implement, and navigate a budget. If we look at the scriptures, Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6 says that my people are destroyed. Why? Because of a lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you from being priest for me. So if we want to walk in all that God has for us, even if we don't have all of the formal education and all the degrees, that's not the expectation. What is the expectation is that true wisdom, even if you don't have the information, you have people around you that can give you the information or help you to walk in that information. So based on Hosea knowledge, a lack of education around our finances is not a proper excuse for poor management skills. We still, all of us as kingdom people, are called to be faithful stewards over everything that's given. So the way that we do that is just by simply laying out a budget, implementing it, and making it plain so that we feel comfortable stewarding what God has given us. The third one is actually, I think, the most true, and it's fear of restrictions. Now, if we're being honest, there are many of us who believe that putting restrictions on our money is a bad thing, and we see restrictions as keeping us away from things that are probably good for us. But I would say the message of the scriptures is very countercultural to how we naturally think. And I'll give you an example. If my baby was climbing on this desk and about to fall over, it will be loving of me to grab that baby and snatch them away from the edge because I know that they could fall and harm themselves. Rob, what does this have to do with my money or my finances and budget? So what I mean by that is, by implementing a budget, the world would typically say that you're limiting yourself, or why would you ever put these restrictions around what you can do? And I see it as a negative thing. The limitations aren't there to keep you from something. However, they are to keep you protected from yourself a lot of times. Next, we have the perception of complexity. Now, many people, when they talk about a budget or even think about a budget, they think that it's going to be this super in-depth, complicated thing. It can actually be very simple. There are many different ways to implement a budget. They have apps, you can do a spreadsheet, and we, for our clients, want to know you well so that we know where you fit in the realm of budgets. We want to tailor it to the person to make sure that they're getting exactly what they need. Lastly, I would say, is just inconsistent income. For this person, they don't get a check every week or every 2 weeks. Maybe they're a freelancer, maybe they're an entrepreneur, and although your income is variable, that isn't to say that you can't figure out what an average amount is over the course of a month. You should still have a basis for what an average amount is that you're pulling in, how much you actually need to pay for expenses per month, and how much you'll actually have left over at the end of that month to do things like pay debt, save up for emergency funds, and start investing. So let's not forget, the goal of all of this is to be faithful. We're talking about finances, but we want to be found faithful in every aspect of our lives. And all of these things that I mentioned are all valid reasons for which someone would not implement a budget. However, these can be horrible excuses when you have to account for the things that have been gifted to you. So we want to be found faithful. We want to do the right thing. We have to address many of these things that were mentioned in this video to set ourselves up for success in the future. So if this video resonates with you, let us know in the comments. Get in touch with us. Feel free to book a huddle up call. It's a complimentary 30-minute call where you can come in and ask your questions. We'll ask some questions of you. We'll see if we're the right fit and potentially work together. So if you thought that this video was helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, and just go ahead and share it with somebody else who you think will benefit from it. And we'll see you in the next episode.